What's going on, guys? Coach Will here, and lately I've been having a lot of people reach out to me asking me how they can go about optimizing their flexibility, their mobility, their range of motion, and so on and so forth, because for some reason a lot of people tend to feel very restricted when doing certain exercises. So in this video, what I'm going to do for you is go over 3 simple concepts along with application later in this video, so that way you can optimize your mobility routine, so that way you can move freely without feeling any restrictions. So for those of you who do not know who I am, the name is William Santiago III. I'm a NASM certified personal trainer based out of New York City. So for those of you looking to get to the best shape of your life, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at Will2Gain. I do both in-person and online coaching. So with that being said, like the video, comment down below, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, do the thing. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. So the first concept we want to keep in mind when it comes to looking at the overall spectrum of mobility in the human body is being mindful that the body is a unit, and whenever you target one specific area, it's going to affect all of the surrounding areas of that specific spot. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's take the knee, for example. Oftentimes, people experience some form of discomfort or issue with their knees, and what ends up happening is they end up looking for solutions to resolve problems with the knee, where in fact it might not be that the knee is the issue, it might be the surrounding tissue around the knee that must be addressed. So with that being said, if you focus on one specific area, it's not just that specific area itself, it could be the area surrounding it. So if you focus on one specific spot, everything else around it will become affected. The second concept that we have to be aware of when it comes to overall mobility is focusing on mobilizing the right areas and stabilizing the right areas, right? We don't want to mobilize an area that's supposed to be stable, and vice versa. We don't want to stabilize an area that's supposed to be mobile. So once again, we'll go back with the knee example that I just gave. Our knee is a joint that, yes, it is mobile in 2 degrees of motion. However, for the most part, it should be able to stay stable within that 2 degrees of motion. Now, what sort of joints, you may be asking yourself now, should remain mobile? Well, the joints that we have that should remain mobile are 3 specific areas: the ankles, the hips, and the thoracic spine or your mid-back, right? So the reason why these areas are meant to stay mobile is because, let's say, the ankles, for example. When we're looking at the ankles, we want to have sufficient dorsiflexion, which is basically when your toes point up. With sufficient dorsiflexion, let's say when we're performing some form of squat, it'll allow our knees to travel forward enough without having our heels elevate off of the ground, thus putting us in a compromised position and potentially causing injury. When we're also looking at the ankles, we want to be mindful of running, right? If we don't have a sufficient stride due to stiffness in ankles, this could also potentially lead to compromises in movement, which can thus lead itself to more injuries down the road. Now, as we work our way up the kinetic chain, when we analyze what's going on at the hips, if we have some form of tightness or overcompensation in the hips, this could potentially lead to severe stress being placed on our lumbar spine, which can then once again lead to injury, which we wouldn't want. So focusing on mobilizing the hips accordingly is our next checkpoint along the entire spectrum of the kinetic chain. And with our final checkpoint being the thoracic spine, the reason why we want to focus on mobilizing this area is because, for one, we want to have complete range of motion through our shoulder girdle, so this way we don't feel any form of discomfort or impingement going on in there, along with the fact that we want to maintain optimal posture, because a lot of times, due to our sedentary lifestyles, a lot of people work that 9 to 5, they're stuck at a desk, very kyphotic. We want to focus up on opening that area, thus improving your posture down the road. So now that we have the 2 concepts out of the way, one being understanding that the body is a unit, and 2, understanding the 3 main checkpoints that we actually have to mobilize in order to create sufficient mobility throughout our entire body, now we have to get into the actual application, which is our 3rd and final concept as to how we have to mobilize the these specific areas at hand. With that being said, let us now transfer you over to good old instructional Will. So first what we're gonna do is we're gonna get, maybe a mat or something. And all we need for these is a wall. It's gonna be here. What you wanna do, about a knuckle and thumb distance from the wall. So this wall's a little curved up, so mine starts right here, right about here, boom. And all I'm gonna do is you can either keep your foot like this, or you can turn it in, and you wanna apply some pressure, some weight onto your foot. Push over. See, my hip comes up a little bit, I have some tight ankles, so we're gonna fix that. We're doing this to first just get some general mobilization, warm up the joint. Very important to warm up the joint before we actually do any static stretching. And same thing, other side. Here, boom. Distance, right there. Another thing you want to focus on is performing active dorsiflexion to get more mobility into the movement. Alright, my people. Hey, what's going on, my beautiful people? Coach Will here, back from the future, right? So I wanted to bring you guys a quick little nugget that I forgot to record earlier when it comes to your mobilization drills, and that is to make sure that your body is warm before you do these mobilization drills. I know I did it partially with the ankles, obviously, but when we're going into our hip mobilization as well as our thoracic mobilization, just want to make sure you have your body warmed up accordingly. Just like I said earlier with the ankles, you want to make sure that your joints and your muscles are warm so that way you're less prone to injury. So a quick drill I like to do before I do my mobilization for my hips and my thoracic spine, just some quick arm swings up and down, some quick arm swings across, alternating one arm goes on top and one arm goes at the bottom, some arm circles in both directions, clockwise and counterclockwise, some leg swings right back and forth, and also some leg swings out to the side, right? So just something real quick to get the muscles moving and grooving before you get into your in-depth stretching and mobilization. So we just did some quick ankle mobility drills just to get some blood flow in the area before we actually do our static stretching. Very important to do the warm-up before we actually statically stretch. This way we're less prone to pulling the muscle and less prone to injury. So what we're gonna do now, very simple one but very effective. We're gonna get into a piped up position, right? So hands are gonna be in the floor and your butt's gonna be up in the air, right? So what you're gonna do is you can start off with legs bent, right? And make sure you keep your feet flat on the floor right here, right? With over time, what you wanna do is straighten out the knees right there, and you're gonna get a nice good stretch in the calves, also in the hamstrings too. Very, very good position for the hamstrings. And you're gonna hold this for time, right? So over time, you notice you'll be able to come a little closer and hold that position. So that right there is really gonna help loosen up your calves, which is then gonna translate to better mobility once you go back to the ankle drill. And what you wanna do is after you do that, right, you come back here, do the same drill we did earlier, right? Boom, we'll test, right? And I didn't really hold it for that long, but let's just see right away. You notice a little bit more of an improvement in terms of my range of motion, and that was only a few seconds. And I'm somebody who has pretty stiff ankles. It's a work in progress for me, so definitely take these and apply to your ankle mobility. All right, my beautiful people, so we just finished mobilizing our ankles. Now we're working our way up the kinetic chain to our hips. So the first stretch we're gonna do is the world's greatest stretch, or some people call it the running stretch. Whatever you call it, take it as it is. But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come here, right? Start off on all fours, right here, nice and comfortable. What you wanna do is take one leg, put it outside of your hand, boom. If you don't have that mobility, that's fine. You can bring it right here. That's perfectly fine. So, but if you do here, this foot, rear foot, is gonna be on the toes. And what you're gonna do is simply elevate. And then what we're gonna do is lean in, right? As you lean in, make sure squeeze that glute. Feel the stretch here. back of your thigh, and also feel it here in your hip flexor. And hold this position right here for time. Nice deep breathing. Okay, and then boom, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Up, squeeze that glute, open up those hips. Nice alignment in the back, and hold for time. Right, reason why we're doing this stretch is because we're trying to mobilize both the front and the back of the hip, so that way we actually have enough range of motion to be able to lift up our knee without feeling any form of restriction or impingement in that specific area. Now the next stretch we're going to do for our hips is a good one. It's one that's suitable for all levels. I call it the 90-90 stretch. So what we're going to do is exactly what the name entails. We're going to get into a 90-90 position. So the front leg is going to be at a 90 degree, and the rear leg is going to be in a 90 degree. So we're going to be like this. First, you're going to go front, boom, right there, and hold that right there in that position with 90 degree bend in the front and in the rear. And then you're going to do the same thing, but now you're going to turn backwards, boom, and you're going to lean back. And what you're going to do, instead of stretching the glute, the piriformis, and you're going to start stretching the inner thigh, the groin area, and also a different part of the hip flexor. So right here, boom. And then once you're done with that side, you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you're just going to switch it up, boom, right, 90-90. You're going to lean in, beautiful, feel that good stretch in the glute. Once again, mobilizing the hip, releasing some tension off that lower back. And same thing, move back, open up the hip right here to the front of the hip capsule. Very nice stretch right here. Right. And obviously, if you wanted to take it to another level, to upgrade it, you would simply drop down right there. And then if you wanted to take the front one to the next level, you would simply just take this leg and put it straight behind you, right? But this is for the beginners. So right here, this one suitable for all levels. All right, my beautiful people. So the final checkpoint along the kinetic chain is our thoracic spine. So the first stretch we're gonna do for our thoracic spine is a very simple wall stretch. So we're gonna take our hands, place it on the wall. We're gonna hinge our hips back, so stick your butt back, boom. Keep a slight bend in the knees. What you're gonna do here is tuck your pelvis under you, so posterior pelvic tilt. And then what you're gonna do is just lean in nice and easy, right? Real good stretch here. You're gonna feel all the musculature in your mid-back, your lats, your shoulders really loosen up here. Now the last one we're gonna do is gonna be for the pec minor. So right here, it sits right in here, the shoulder girdle, which is often left tight due to our kyphotic posture that we develop over time. So simply what we're gonna do, extend our arm outward, the blade of our hand is gonna go onto the wall. From here, what we're gonna do is simply lean in and turn away. Right, just like that. And you're gonna hold for time. And then same thing on the other side. Boom, blade of the hand on the wall, lean in, turn away, full extension, smooth breathing, hold for time. And those are the stretches for the thoracic spine and the musculature surrounding the thoracic spine. All right, my beautiful people, those were the 3 mobilization drills I use with myself along with my own clients in order to address the 3 specific key point areas along the kinetic chain in order to create sufficient mobility so that way you don't feel any form of restriction. So one more point I would like to make before I wrap this all up for you guys is focusing on the areas that you struggle with the most. So for myself, for example, my feet and my ankles are the areas that I need to address more versus my hips. My hips are extremely mobile. However, my ankles, they absolutely suck, mainly because I'm flat-footed. So me being flat-footed, I have to spend a lot of extra time stretching out and mobilizing my ankles versus other key areas of my body. So that being said, you may have certain areas that are a little bit more troublesome for you than others. So maybe you may fall in the end of the spectrum where your ankles are great, but maybe your hips suck. Or maybe your ankles and your hips are fantastic, but you just have horrible kyphotic posture. So you need to spend more time opening up your thoracic spine. So with that being said, it all comes down to specificity at the end of the day. So I really hope you guys take these quick mobilization drills and really hone it and make it your own. Alright, so that wraps up this video, my people. Leave a like down below, comment on what you would like to see me go over next, subscribe, turn on those post notifications and do the thing. And with that all out of the way, until next time, and will we trust, stay safe, my people.